Welcome to the Thinking Stack.
Glad to be diving in.
Let's just jump right in, yeah. You're here because, well, you probably feel it too, this kind of weirdness. We're absolutely swimming in information, right? Everyone's an expert or quotes one, but actually understanding stuff, it feels, I don't know, thin.
Thin is a good word for it. Yeah, it's like we have more data than ever, fancier tools, access to brilliant minds, but wisdom, true clarity, feels lacking sometimes.
Totally. Look around. It's almost comical. You know, climate folks flying private to save the planet.
Right. Or economists polishing GDP figures while, the actual planet's kind of groaning.
And don't forget the tech geniuses solving loneliness with more screen time, more dopamine hits. It's genuinely bonkers, isn't it?
It is a bit bonkers, yeah. And look, it's not like people got dumber overnight. That's not it.
No, definitely not. It's how we're thinking. Or maybe how we're not connecting the dots. It feels so fragmented.
Exactly. Fragmented. We're just running around patching holes, aren't we? Chasing the latest headline, optimizing some tiny little piece while the whole ship might be listing.
Like climate policy.
Oh.
Okay, emissions, sure. Super important, obviously.
Yeah.
But we obsess over that and maybe kind of ignore the elephant in the room. Our whole culture's addiction to convenience.
Right. Or look at economics. So many models built on this, fairy tale idea of the rational human.
Yeah, right.
Ignoring completely how messy and emotional we actually are with money, with choices.
And healthcare. It's often just symptom management, isn't it? Here's a pill for the pain, but what about, I don't know, meaning, purpose? The stuff underneath.
Precisely. And innovation.
Oh, boy.
We're brilliant at solving surface problems with slick tech. But sometimes that tech just scales up the underlying dysfunction, like that high-tech air freshener in the toxic room analogy. It smells nice for a bit.
But the fumes are still there. And look, there's actual proof this fragmented approach is failing us. Yeah. That UK COVID inquiry.
Yeah, I saw that.
They literally blamed groupthink. Said we need red teams just to challenge the dominant view. That's pretty damning.
It is, and think back to 2008. The financial crash. It just ripped the curtain back on those fancy economic models. They completely missed the interconnectedness, the feedback loops. Whoosh.
And we keep doing it. Trying to solve these massive, messy, wicked problems. Climate change is the perfect example with tools designed for simple, linear stuff.
Like bringing an abacus to fix a quantum computer. It's just not the right tool for the job.
So, okay, what's the real problem here? The root cause of this hot mess?
Well,
My take, our thinking is flat. Seriously, we've mixed up being smart with being wise. We've confused the speed of information with actual clarity. And having tons of data, that's not the same as discerning what actually matters, is it?
Not at all. We're drowning in ideas, maybe, but what we're starved for are better frameworks, deeper ways to make sense of it all.
Exactly, which is why today, this first dive isn't about one niche topic. It's foundational. It's about rebuilding the whole process.
We're introducing something we call the integrated thinking stack, the ITS.
Right. And this isn't just another buzzword or, like, a productivity hack.
No, definitely not. Think of it more like a full stack operating system for your mind, for how you perceive reality, figure out what it means, guess where it's going, and design things that actually work for real, messy humans.
It's 7 layers, each one building on the last, each asking a crucial question we usually skip.
Ready to peel the onion?
Let's do it. Layer 1, right at the bottom. Cognitive cleanse.
And the big, tough question here is,
What is actually true?
not what you wish was true.
Not what you're scared is true.
And definitely not what everyone else just says is true or what you've always assumed, what's actually true.
Because, let's be honest, most of what passes for thinking is just swimming through noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Narratives we like, biases we don't even see.
Tribalism, yeah. Knee-jerk reactions, just tons of superficial fluff.
So cognitive cleanse is about hitting pause, creating silence, actively clearing the fog.
Yeah, deliberately scrubbing the lens. And we draw on some heavy hitters here, conceptually.
Like first principles thinking. Goes way back to Aristotle, right?
Yeah.
But Elon Musk talks about it all the time.
Exactly, breaking stuff down to the absolute bedrock. No assumptions allowed.
Then there's that Zen idea. Seeing things as they are before we slap our judgments all over them.
Just pure observation. And the Stoics, of course. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, that focus on objectivity. On what's actually happening versus our story about it.
And underpinning it all, really, it's systems thinking. Danella Meadows stuff. Seeing the connections, the feedbacks, not just isolated parts.
It's all about peeling back layers. Reality, you could say, is what's left when you subtract your preferences, your biases, your comforting stories.
What actually is. It can be uncomfortable sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Take climate change again. Easy to frame it as just co-Euro, which it is partly.
But the cognitive cleanse pushes deeper, right? To see it as maybe a hyperconsumption problem.
Exactly. Focusing only on EVs, for example, while ignoring our deeper addiction to convenience, to constant novelty, to cheap flights. It's
But
like,
treating the symptom, not the disease. We tinker with the tailpipe emissions, but that deep cultural craving for more, for comfort, that often gets a free pass.
so cognitive cleanse is the truth filter. No fluff, no flinching, no fantasy, just reality.
Deal with it. Okay, so once we've maybe glimpsed reality a bit more clearly, what's next?
Layer 2, moral intelligence.
Okay.
And the question shifts. Now it's, what's the right thing here?
Right now, for everyone involved.
Yep, everyone. It's moving from what is to what ought to be, but in a really grounded way.
So thinking about impacts, who wins, who loses?
Who gets harmed? And crucially, who's invisible in this whole equation? Who are we not even seeing?
Right. And where do we get guidance for that?
Well, there's a rich history. Virtue ethics, Aristotle, again, thinking about character. What kind of person do I want to be in this situation?
Makes sense.
Dharma-based ethics, like from the Bhagavad Gita, acting according to your role, your context, it's not one size fits all.
More nuanced.
Definitely. And things like Ubuntu philosophy, indigenous ethics, emphasizing relationality, community responsibility. We're all connected.
Standard moral philosophy, too, I guess,
Yeah.
like Rawls' veil of ignorance.
Absolutely. Or Carol Gilligan's ethics of care, all valuable lenses.
The key thing seems to be intelligence isn't enough.
God, no. Intelligence without ethics, that's just weaponized strategy, isn't it?
Scary thought.
And ethics in ITES isn't about some abstract rulebook. It's situated, it's embodied, it's relational. It needs moral imagination.
Moral imagination. Like really trying to feel it from someone else's perspective.
Especially the vulnerable.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
empathy, not just ticking boxes or virtue signaling.
Like greenwashing. That feels relevant here.
Perfect example. You feel good driving your eco EV,
Mm-hmm.
but the lithium, maybe mined on indigenous land, wrecking their water supply, is that really ethical? Or that fancy grass-fed burger flown halfway across the world. Low food miles, not so much.
It's what you could call moral outsourcing. We feel good, but someone else, somewhere else, pays the price, often invisibly.
Oof. Yeah. True morality feels closer, more local. You feel the weight. Who suffers when I stay comfortable?
That's the gut check. Okay, so clarity check, moral check. What's layer 3?
Systemic foresight, looking ahead.
The big question, what happens next and to whom?
Right. Because we're so focused on the immediate fix, aren't we?
Constantly. We solve problem A, but we don't stop to think if that solution creates problems B, C, and D down the line.
Or who those problems will affect.
Exactly. So systemic foresight is about cultivating that muscle, thinking in ripples, in cascades, in longer time frames.
What helps with that? Feels tricky.
It is. Complexity theory is huge here. Morin, Snowden's Sinafin framework. Understanding that systems are often inherently unpredictable, not simple machines.
Okay.
Second order thinking, Charlie Munger's big thing. Always ask, and then what? Don't stop at the first effect.
Keep digging.
Keep digging. Long-termism, Bostrom, Parfit, urging us to consider the really long view, generations ahead.
Wow.
And edge of chaos theory Kaufman, this idea that healthy systems often live in that dynamic space between rigid order and total chaos. They can adapt.
So the shift is from just, does it work now?
To what might it break later? And who pays that price? It's a much more responsible question.
Think about remote work. Seemed like a great solution, right? Freedom, flexibility.
For many, yeah. But Foresight asks, what about overall energy use? Does it go up with everyone heating separate homes?
Good point. Or digital addiction, blurring work-life boundaries even more.
Or local communities? Do they weaken if everyone's just interacting online?
Right. Optimizing for short-term individual efficiency can externalize massive long-term costs onto society or the planet.
Exactly. So foresight is like ethical time travel, trying to see the future consequences before we build collapse into our solutions.
Okay, that's heavy. Now we turn inward, layer 4.
Yep. Embodied insight.
And the question is personal. What am I wired for, and how does that distort my decisions?
This is where we get real about not being brains and vats. We're nervous systems, shaped by evolution, fear, past experiences, unprocessed stuff.
Stuff we don't even consciously know is running the show sometimes.
A lot of the time. Somatic psychology is key here. Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk on trauma, how the body keeps the score.
Right. Our physical feelings aren't just noise. They're data.
Absolutely. Evolutionary biology reminds us our basic wiring is for a savanna, not spreadsheets and social media. Threat detection is primal.
Which can misfire in modern life.
Constantly. Neuroscience of emotion, Lisa Feldman Barrett's work shows how our brain constructs emotions and how they drive us.
And non-dual philosophy. Advaita, Dzogchen. How does that fit?
It helps us see the difference between observing our experience and being totally fused with it. Creates a bit of space from those automatic reactions. It's pretty deep stuff.
Okay, give me an example. How does this play out?
All right, lowering your carbon footprint. Intellectually. Makes total sense. Urgent, logical. Sure.
But your nervous system, it might hear deprivation, loss,
Yeah.
threat.
Ah, like a primal fear of scarcity kicks in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of taking action, maybe you find yourself doom scrolling for hours or stress eating, anything to avoid that uncomfortable feeling, that grief maybe.
So the body basically vetoes the good idea because it feels unsafe.
It absolutely can. Until your nervous system feels safe, truly safe, change is incredibly hard. That's the insight. The body has veto power.
Wow. Okay, so we've looked at truth, ethics, future impacts, our own wiring. What's layer 5?
Human-centered design. Now we bridge the internal with the collective.
The question.
How do real people actually behave? Not how we wish they'd behave or how the spreadsheet says they should behave.
Right. Taking all that messy human stuff, the embodiment, the culture, and designing for that.
Exactly. It's about adoption. Does it make sense in someone's real life? Does it feel okay to do? Does it feel safe? Logic isn't enough.
What helps here? Behavioral economics. Kahneman and Tversky. Absolutely critical. Understanding our predictable irrationalities. Nudges, biases, heuristics.
Design thinking, too. IDEO, Stanford D School. Empathy, prototyping.
Yep. Really understanding the user. Narrative psychology, Jerome Bruner. How stories shape our identity and actions.
And cultural anthropology. Rituals, norms, meaning-making.
All of it. Because we have to design for friction, for fatigue, for habits, for emotions, for status games. That's the reality.
Not just for logic.
Definitely not. Think about composting again. Great idea, logical system.
But if the bin's awkward or people are confused,
Adoption tanks. Governments often design policy assuming rational actors. It just doesn't work like that.
people are messy. Beautifully messy, maybe.
Beautifully messy. And ISE tries to design for that messiness, not against it. That's how you get solutions that actually scale.
Okay, makes sense. Layer 6. Feels like we're getting near the end.
Risk and resilience. This is the humility layer.
Humility, how so?
The question is, what if I'm wrong? Or what if the world changes?
Confronting our own fallibility and uncertainty.
Exactly. It forces us to look at edge cases, pressure points, potential failures. Where are our assumptions weak?
What kind of thinking helps here?
Nassim Taleb's anti-fragility. Designing systems that don't just survive shocks, but get stronger.
Interesting.
Scenario planning, like Shell or Rand do. Thinking through multiple possible futures, not just the one we want.
Prepare for the unexpected.
Bayesian thinking, Judea Pearl, constantly updating our beliefs as new evidence comes in. Being adaptable.
And permaculture. Ecological resilience.
Learning from nature. Redundancy, diversity, adaptability. Nature is the ultimate resilient designer.
Because most of our current plans assume things will just keep going smoothly, right? Linear progress, global cooperation, tech saving the day.
Pretty much. And those are fragile assumptions. History tends to throw curveballs.
So risk isn't just failure, it's being unprepared.
Exactly. IFS aims for anti-fragile systems, prioritizing options, redundancy, learning over just blind optimism or brittle efficiency.
So the blunt truth is, if your solution only works when everything goes perfectly.
It's not really a solution, is it? It's a gamble, a fragile one.
Okay, last layer, layer 7.
The execution engine, where the rubber meets the road.
Finally, the question is just.
So what the hell do we actually DO?
Right. Taking all this insight, making it happen.
Moving beyond just thinking about it. Pilots, testing, feedback loops, action.
What guides the action?
Agile development principles, iteration, user feedback, minimum viable products. Start small, learn fast.
Lean startup. Build, measure, learn.
Eric Ries, yep. Crucial. Embodied learning, prototyping cold, shown learning by doing and reflecting.
And decentralized strategy. Odo loops.
John Boyd's idea. Observe, orient, decide, act. Being able to adapt quickly in changing situations. Speed and agility.
Because strategy without action is just talk.
Pretty much theater, yeah. But action without reflection is just panic.
Finding that balance. The goal isn't perfection first time.
No way. It's adaptive solutions, solutions that learn and evolve based on reality.
Like that mental health app example. Don't launch big immediately.
Right. Test it small. See how real people use it. Discover the real barriers. Maybe shame, maybe tech fatigue before you scale. Learn from the real world.
So the goal isn't being right from the start.
It's getting righter, faster, continuous learning, continuous adaptation.
Okay, so those are the 7 layers, but they're not separate boxes, are they?
Not at all. They're deeply interconnected. It's a stack for a reason. They should ideally work together like a self-correcting system.
So cognitive cleanse, seeing truth, that fuels the moral intelligence.
Yeah, truth informs ethics. And that morality sharpens the systemic foresight, helps you see consequences more clearly.
And foresight makes you respect the embodied insight, your own wiring.
Which then informs better human-centered design, because you understand people better, including yourself.
And that realistic design embraces risk and resilience.
Which demands real-world testing via the execution engine.
And that feedback loops right back to cognitive cleanse. Did we see it right? What did we miss?
Exactly. It's a living logic, a recursive loop. Awareness, insight, action, adjustment, awareness.
Constantly refining, not thinking in silos.
Which is the trap we're trying to escape.
Okay, so wrapping up this episode 0, this foundation.
The core crisis, we think, isn't really about tech or resources. It's a crisis of discernment.
Yeah, seeing clearly. Choosing wisely, we solve the wrong problems or use broken tools on the right ones.
And the integrated thinking stack. It's not just content. It's not a trend.
That's a practice.
Right.
Clarity, responsibility.
That's the heart of it. The future doesn't just need smart people. It needs integrated people.
People who can see the whole picture, connect the dots, act ethically.
That's the goal. That's the invitation.
So with that, welcome, officially, to the Thinking Stack.
Great start. And remember, this was episode 0. The setup.
Next time, we're diving into something specific. Comfort addiction.
And the, let's say, delusions sometimes surrounding green tech. It'll be juicy.
Looking forward to it. So if this deep dive stirred something in you.
If it felt resonant, or maybe even uncomfortable.
Good, that means you're awake. The challenge now, stay awake.
Keep practicing. You can hit follow. Join us for the next one. Share it if you think someone else needs to hear it.
Or honestly, maybe just hit pause.
Yeah.
Sit with it. Let it sink in. Sometimes silence is the best response.
Whatever works. The point is the practice.
Until next time, stay clear, stay grounded.
And above all, stay integrated.